Welcome, Realm family, to another episode of Wrestling with the Realm podcast. I'm Brian. I'm one half of the power and glory of wrestling podcasts. And on the other side, he's the Hercules to my Paul Roma, my guy, Will. Will, what are we talking about today?
Guys, today on Wrestling with the Realm, we're keeping it real.
Keep it real.
It's a new segment we're bringing to Wrestling with the Realm, and we're just going over some topics we thought of. Brian, you can take us into our first topic today.
So the first topic that kind of interests us that we were talking about, kind of talking about the Judgment Day, getting into them a little bit, getting into a little Liv Morgan and Raquel, a little possible new member of the Judgment Day. You know, so right away, I think about all the talk about a new member of the Judgment Day. You and I have talked about this a bunch, that it seems like sooner or later we're going to have to get to a new member of the Judgment Day. And we have Finn versus Braun Breaker coming up. So I reached out to Will and I had a crazy idea, and I told him he can call me crazy. Like, if he thinks that it's stupid, he can come out right away and he can kind of tell me that he thinks it's a dumb idea. But I was like, what if Braun Breaker is going to be the new member of Judgment Day and Finn's on the out? Like, it would kind of, I know we've had back and forth between Braun Breaker and the Judgment Day, and he broke Dominic in half a little bit not too long ago. But we have Braun Breaker, who we've talked about a few times, that he's kind of out on an island by himself. Like, he's kind of a lone wolf. He's kind of in limbo right now, where you kind of get stuff going with him and Jacob Fatu. We keep teasing with him and a bunch of other people. He hasn't done much with that IC championship, not like Gunther, you know.
Yeah.
But Dom seemed really, really excited about getting him that championship match as they're talking about getting a new member. I just thought it would be super cool if that whole thing is a mild setup and this is how they kick Finn out, that they all jump in and help, and Braun Breaker just like destroys him with a few spears, and he puts on the Judgment Day shirt, and you know, he gets the welcome bag and he's the new part of the Judgment Day. I thought that'd be kind of cool, especially that way you can kind of get a definitive heel turn for Braun Breaker, because he's been kind of nebulous right now.
Yeah.
And you could also flip Finn Balor back as a face, and they've been teasing that demon gimmick. Like, there's been little Easter eggs scattered about with that. So it just seems like there could be something to that. I don't know, Will, what do you think about that?
Well, I'm going to tell you guys first why I love this idea. And that's because Braun Breaker, like you said, has not been doing a whole lot with that IC title. He has been in the ultimate limbo. I mean, he's barely, like, when they first switched to Raw and Netflix, he wasn't even on TV. Like, I thought that was weird for one of your title holders not to even be on the premiere. But I think him doing something in a group, and, you know, Judgment Day is on TV so much, him getting more TV time, that's important. On another note, we get face Finn Balor back, and I'm okay with heel Finn Balor, but I'm tired of Finn Balor. Like, I'm tired of this dude not winning singles matches and getting pinned every single time he is on weekly television. He is way too talented. He was a fumbled world champion in the making. Let's build him back up to that point. I think I love this idea. I think Demon Finn Balor as a face versus Braun Breaker in the Judgment Day at WrestleMania. And you could even have, I don't know, this is just a shot in the dark. You could have Priest come out and make up with Finn Balor and help him win the IC title. because he's gonna need help versus the Judgment Day, and Damian can see a little bit of what happened to him happening to Finn. That's a long shot, but overall, I love this idea because it gives us face Finn Balor back with a purpose, chasing championship gold. Now
Yeah,
let me tell you why it may not happen.
shoot.
That it's because putting Braun Breaker with a faction, I don't know. Is that appealing to people? He is,
Yeah.
he is over as it is right now. I mean, every time he comes out, the dogs are out. They're barking every single time. It doesn't matter where he is, heel or face. He's playing the tweener character. He doesn't matter. The crowd loves him. So putting him with the Judgment Day with Dom, is that kind of killing Braun Breaker's momentum? What do you think on that, Brian?
I don't see it's weird because I go, it's interesting because the next topic that we're going to get into, I think, kind of dovetails into this a little bit. And that's kind of the bigger overview of what else is going to happen with people inside the Judgment Day. I mean, we've talked about it before that we don't think that the Judgment Day is long for this world at this point. I don't know how much more they have in them as a group
Yeah.
before they get broken up. So when they keep teasing the new member, so I feel like there has to be a payoff to that at some point. But I
Mhm.
also think that the Judgment Day is getting ever closer to getting broken up. And if that's the case, if this is a Braun Breaker joining the Judgment Day and it's only a run for a few months, maybe
Yeah.
we go to SummerSlam and maybe that's where everything starts to fall apart and all the pieces start to break off. Like I could kind of see that as it's not a long-term play for Braun Breaker, but it's something from now through the next two big pay-per-views to give him a little bit more something and get a rub on that championship. If you could have him do battle with Demon Finn Balor, I feel like that gives a little bit more cachet to maybe the people that he's been going through. No offense to everybody else, but this is the problem we've been talking about with the mid card titles. Is it time that we start putting top card guys into the mix? And this is a way to do that with Finn Balor. So you get a rub on that title. Um, Plus, you can get through with the Judgment Day, which always helps everybody. Because Braun Breaker, it's not that he can't cut a promo or anything like that. It's
Oh
just
yeah.
if this was the 80s or the 90s, he would have a manager, especially if he was playing heel. He can cut a promo just fine, but I think when you put him with a cast of characters, you may be able to do more with him if you put him around a Dom and a Carlito and Liv and Raquel. I think when you put that mix together, he might have some different things to play off of than what he normally does. And maybe you can see a little bit more to his character, especially if this is something that's not going to be a long term thing. I think the total of the Judgment Day is going to start having cracks, and we're going to start seeing that thing start to fracture, which takes us to our next topic, Will. A little Liv Morgan and Raquel
Yes.
Rodriguez. Unless you have anything left. You got anything left on Braun and Finn?
No, we can move on to Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, and I'll let you lead us through that because I kind of like this idea you had a lot.
So, and it's super crazy when you start going back and you go through your Rolodex of memories because you have Liv and Raquel right now. Um, you have them, they're tag team champions, but now we have Raquel is going to be having a match against Lyra Valkyria for that IC championship. So you're moving pieces around on the board, and you go, she beat Bailey. They had her beat Bailey to
Mhm.
get um, to Lyra Valkyria, and this is great for me and Will because I'm hoping, I'm hoping that Raquel Rodriguez goes over and she wins that championship because if that happens, I think now you start to get the Judgment Day into an interesting situation. You have the women's IC champion there, you have tag champions there, but now you start to get some problems. And this is where Liv and Raquel, if Raquel wins, I would be willing to put a little bit of money down when I'm in Vegas on this, that we're working towards a Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez split for the IC championship, a la Shawn Michaels and Diesel. Like, those two mirror each other so much. If everybody goes back, if you guys are, from Will's generation and you don't go as far back as the 90s and the 80s, if you go back and you check out Shawn Michaels and Diesel, they mirror Liv and Raquel so much, right down to you have this new version of Raquel Rodriguez, which I love, by the way. She's getting better every time she's
Yes,
out there.
100%.
She is playing like the Big Daddy Cool version, like Diesel did. She's got the sunglasses on, so much so that, like, she's in the Rumble, she's got the sunglasses on, running down to the ring. You go back and you look at all of the old stuff with Shawn and Diesel. Diesel was Shawn Michaels' bodyguard. They were a team together. They won tag team championships together. Him and Shawn break up. They're eventually feuding for the World Heavyweight Championship. It mirrors Liv and Raquel so much that they got to be leading up to that. And then that means you're going to have a breakup between Liv and Raquel. Now you could also start to throw Braun Breaker and Carlito or Dom into that home mix with Braun Breaker. I think you start to really fracture the Judgment Day, but you do it with everybody kind of getting a story on the way out, which I think is a really neat way to do it. But boy, oh boy, does it seem like they're mirroring Shawn Michaels and Big Daddy Cool Diesel, and I'm all for it. I think it's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, I agree with you. And that's why I love so much about Triple H's version of booking WWE. Um, Vince oftentimes wanted to innovate and make new and do something that has never been done before. And Triple H is so comfortable going in the Wayback Machine and
Yep.
pulling out something that has been done before. Like, and you're seeing that in the main event of WrestleMania with Cody and John. Like, this is very much
Yeah.
so Rock and Austin
Oh yeah.
with the corporation. Like, this is just a copy and paste of it. Triple H is just so comfortable doing that, and that's what I kind of love about his version of WWE opposed to Vince's. And that's why I think wrestling is so great and it's the way it is. And I really see that, like, I really think that's what they're doing. And I really think that's going to start at WrestleMania with them losing those tag titles,
There you go.
which is a shame because you want to know what? They have never been able to really hold those titles for a long time. And me and Brian will be the first to tell you we are the Akira Tozawa and
Yes.
of booking
Yes.
wrestling matches.
Yes, we
So
are.
we could be very wrong on this.
If
But
Raquel wins that IC championship, though, they have to be going down that road. If that doesn't happen and Raquel never gets the IC championship, throw it out just like every other thing that we put out there, Will, with our tinfoil hat bookings. But if
yes,
she does get that IC championship, it's happening. And they're gonna go right down that storyline again, and it's awesome. They have the people to do it.
yes, they do. And like I said, I think if you want to start building that friction between them, you have them lose the belts. And this is kind of moving on into our next topic of the
Yep.
Wyatt Six. I would have them lose those belts to Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross at WrestleMania.
Yep.
You've seen a little bit of build up at Royal Rumble and Elimination Chamber now of Liv Morgan and Alexa Bliss kind of feuding. I really do think that's leading up to something at WrestleMania between those two teams. You could even have it lead up to something with the men in the group as well. Um it's kind of exactly what the Wyatt Six is, like going after people that betrayed their family. The Judgment Day obviously betrayed Damian Priest. They betrayed Edge before that. they are
Yep.
the perfect target for the
And
Wyatt
they're
Six.
good. They're just about to do it to Finn Balor.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think it is at least you could have, I don't know, Dexter Loomis and Joe Gacy versus like Dom and Carlito. Like just a little filler match at WrestleMania. But the most important thing
Yeah.
is um I do believe Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross are on the way to those tag championships. And I think it will give the Wyatt Six a more prominent spot on the main roster, holding gold, which is important
Yep.
because you've seen all the reports saying that people aren't comfortable working with them because they're this supernatural gimmick. And in today's wrestling, that's a tough thing to touch because it ruins people are scared it's going to ruin their character and their work. And like a lot of the characters we see today are very real. They're the real person. Like, but the best example is CM Punk. CM Punk
Yeah.
is Phil. Like he
Yep.
is that in real life. He's that in the ring. So people, the top talent, they're scared to work with the Wyatt Six. I think them as a group not being as focused on people that betrayed their families and being more focused on gold would be a step in the right direction to get the Wyatt Six more screen time. Brian, what do you think about that?
I agree with you. I mean, the Wyatt Six, they've been kind of had a big breakout, a big showing for their, coming out party, and then that has slowly just disappeared. And now that we have Alexa Bliss back, I mean, they're all but telling us she's going to join the Wyatt Six.
Yeah,
And it just seems it's too much like right that you put Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss back together again. They've been tag champions before.
yeah,
So that seems like a natural pairing with those two. And if they were going to go after gold, they got to go after Liv and Raquel. And it's so smart. And I'll hit on this a little bit later when we get to Jade Cargill. Um, I know that I'm the Liv Morgan homer here, but it makes me happy that other people are starting to get on board and starting to see kind of the stuff that we've been talking about with her. That her ability and Raquel is getting more and more comfortable in her character and her spot, but Liv Morgan is so good at elevating the other person with
100%.
her shenanigans and her brattiness and her just style of playing that snotty girl character and the snarky digs and comebacks and the things that she does elevates the other person and it gives it a level of believability, like you were saying with CM Punk. She's so good at playing that character. It's so
Yeah,
natural. And that's what makes it so funny. And Dom is really great at that too, where he's so good at playing the heel, even when he's supposed to just be Dom. Like he's very good at that. So if you take this supernatural type element with Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross and the Wyatt Six, and you put them into a program with Liv and Raquel, I feel like with the promos and stuff, Liv can make that work. I think that that's the type of thing you need to play off of that to make it look less hokey. So a program with them together makes perfect sense. You're going to have to get the tag championships off of Liv and Raquel if they're going to go down the IC championship route that you were talking about. Um, so I feel like all of that makes sense. And I think at the end of the day, with that, it does help the Wyatt Six a little bit. So I say put the belts on Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross and let them take it from there. And I think the Wyatt Six could possibly get its footing.
and that, my friends at WWR family, that is the wrestling matrix right
Oh,
there.
did
You
I
just
go in?
Oh
I didn't
man,
even know it.
oh man, you were in it. You were walking me down the
Oh,
exact
okay.
path to the
Okay.
women's championship match at WrestleMania. That was awesome.
Oh,
I totally agree with
yeah.
you.
I'll take it,
Um,
Will. Thanks, buddy.
yeah, no, that was great. Like, I think that is amazing because it's a marquee match too. You have big names in there. And with the women's tag team championships, like, I'm sorry, and this isn't a dig at Caden Carter and Katana Chance, but when they held the belts, it just didn't feel important.
Right.
That makes these belts feel important going into the biggest stage at WrestleMania. And I just think, like you said, Liv sells this stuff so
Yeah.
well. And that's why she is like, man, if you go over the MVP award of the last calendar year, going from last WrestleMania to this WrestleMania, men's or women's, she might be the MVP.
Yeah. Yeah. She
Like,
was
it
kind of
doesn't,
going under the radar a little bit, but it's really picked up lately where you see just how valuable she is.
yeah, look at all the different stuff they've handed her,
Hmm.
and she has not missed.
Yeah.
Like, and she has been handed a handful of different stuff. If it's the Becky Lynch feud, Rhea Ripley, like, and whatever she has next, like, she's been able to carry that Rhea feud. But you want to know what? Everyone has given, and this will kind of transition us into our next segment with Jade Cargill. Everyone has given Jade and Naomi and Bianca their props, and that was a phenomenal promo.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was 2 weeks ago now, between Naomi and Bianca. Like, that was one of the greatest women's segments ever. But the part of the reason that that has been so good is the build up of it, and everyone thinking it's Liv's fault, and then you come to this week on Friday, and they have the Jade Cargill segment where she's breaking it
Yes.
down what happened. And then Liv just walks in and Raquel and they're chatting their stuff
Yep.
to her saying, well, you ruined my life because you told everyone thought it was me and blah blah blah. And that just builds so much
Yep.
to the feud between Naomi and Jade. Like, she's over here elevating other feuds that not like they're not even her own. So I just think Liv Morgan, as you said, a lot of people, you've been on this for a while, even
Yeah.
before I was on it. But Liv Morgan might be the MVP of this year. She has been
Yeah.
killing it. So it's great that you can put her in a spot like the women's tag team championship. And even when she's putting someone over, like, we don't know if that's going to happen, but I think it's not an unpopular opinion. I think a lot of people know that this is where it's going between her and
Yeah.
Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross at WrestleMania. Like, you can put her in a spot like that. She doesn't need to hold the main title or even one of the mid card titles.
Yep.
And she's still going to make that a marquee match at WrestleMania.
So with Jade Cargill, Will and I have been kind of holding off on any Jade Cargill talk until she came back from the kayfabe injury there. Um, and we're both pretty happy, I think, so far since she's come back.
Yeah.
They've look, it's no secret with Jade Cargill. We have touched on it before that the talking points on her is that she needed to get better in the ring. She needed to work on a lot of stuff. She looks the part. Um, she just needs to, get it on once the bell rings. And I also think that we found out on SmackDown she needs to work on the mic stuff a little bit, but it's been positive. Since she has come back, she's done things that she can do and she's made it look good. And hats off to creative or whoever is coming up with this way of easing her into the program. They haven't had her do more than she's capable of doing. I said this to Will months ago when we were talking about Jade Cargill that if it was me, and clearly it's a good thing it's not because we're wrong a lot, but if it was me, you would take what she does in the ring and you would simplify it. What are the things she does really, really well? Let's have her do those things and then slow her down with the stuff that she's not very good at. Jade Cargill should never be trying to walk the top rope or trying to jump up over the top rope into the ring or do any springboards or anything like that. She doesn't need to be doing that. Stick to the stuff that she can do well. And if you have to move her through things quickly, go ahead and do that, but have it make sense. Case in point, the promo on Friday night. So I didn't get to see that part during the broadcast. So I go on to YouTube and I find that clip of her cutting her promo. And I see that it's 1 minute and 28 seconds. And I went, oh, great. I'm going to have to, this isn't the whole clip, it's cut up. Little did I know, that's her whole promo. Her promo was about 30 seconds. She sits down, excuse me, she sits down, she talks for about 30 seconds until Liv and Raquel walk in. And then Liv comes in. I have in my notes, then they have Liv show up to save the day. Because I don't know if we can get more than 30 seconds out of, or 30 seconds of promo out of Jade Cargill. I don't know if we can get more than that. She has a little ways to go. She was giving a performance that my wife and I were saying that's the performance that somebody would expect if they haven't seen wrestling in 30 years. That's the kind of promo and the kind of acting that they would expect. It's not up to par with what today is, but they kept it short. They have her do a few things that she can do, and then you bring Liv Morgan in and you let her do all the heavy lifting and make that a great promo. It makes sense. Again, her and Raquel are being snotty, interrupting her interview. Liv isn't wrong that I don't know. It's been how many weeks now that she's been taking the blame for that, and she didn't even do it. And now they're going to have a match. There, easy, simple. It makes sense. You got in and out of that promo. You let Liv lead it, and Jade Cargill came out looking pretty good. And I'm sure when they get to the match, it's going to be the same thing. You'll probably let Liv do a lot of the heavy lifting. It'll probably go kind of quick, but Jade Cargill doesn't need to be doing more than she's capable of. Give her stuff to help her succeed. Don't put her in a situation to fail. And since she's come back from that injury at the chamber, they've they've been putting her in a position not to fail, and that's good. That's a positive.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think everything with Jade since she's came back has been good. It's been quick and to the point. And that's what they need to do with Jade. Everything needs to be quick and to the point. You were going over everything you were saying with Jade, and it just makes me think that, man, Jade really needs some time in NXT.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she needs some time to develop not just her in-ring work, but her mic work. It does need it. Like, I know a lot of AEW fans will get in the comments of this and be like, "Well, she had great promos with Cody Rhodes when she debuted, and like
But
when she was feuding with Cody." And I'm like, "Yeah, she's on the mic with Cody Rhodes," and that's what you see as
yes,
WWE is trying to build her up. She is not like Charlotte can go out and look great and have a match with BFAB. Like,
yes,
no, Jade can't
facts.
do that. Jade can't go out and have a match with BFAB. She needs to have a match with Liv Morgan. She needs to work with Bianca. She needs to have a WrestleMania match with Naomi. And like that may sound harsh, but Jade Cargill literally has GOAT potential.
Mm-hmm. one
Like
Hundred percent.
when you talk about aura, like Jade Cargill has that maybe over anyone in WWE. Anyone. And like it's just you have to start, you know, you need to do one of two things. You need to start doing what you're doing with her right now. And you need to start um making things short and to the point,
Yep.
maximizing your minutes with Jade. Or you need to like really work on your stuff because if you have GOAT potential, you can't go out there and have 5 minute matches every time you're out there. You need to have
Yep.
15, 20, 25 minute, 30 matches with the likes of Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair, which that's her SummerSlam match. Like it's probably Bianca, or you can wrap that around and do that at WrestleMania 42.
Yep.
But like you need to start, you need to either get her ready for those moments, and that's where I think like her time, like from when she debuted till now, would have been served better in NXT.
Yes. 100%.
Working working the likes of a Soul Ruka,
Yep.
or even like a Julia or Stephanie Vaquer, and you
Roxanne
get rid of
Perez.
Roxanne.
Yep.
Yes, Roxanne. Yeah, and I even think she could have worked like Kalani Jordan. I think a feud with
Oh,
Jade Parker and Jade Cargill would have been great. And there's so many other names you could go to. And I don't know, just I get putting the belt on her right away, giving her an accolade, two-time tag team champion. Like that's great for legacy purposes, but when you have someone with GOAT potential,
yeah.
I like, and it shows the difference between AEW and WWE. Like it's taken Jade almost 2 years now to develop, and that's fine. But them putting her with surrounding her with main eventers and not sending her to NXT, like Brian, me and you both agree, and this kind of moves us on to our next point. Like a Julia and a
Hmm.
Stephanie Vaquer, like
Yes.
you're talking about two future Hall of Famers right there. They didn't even go to the main roster right away
No, and why did Stephanie Vaquer say she didn't want to?
because she wanted more time to learn. She wanted more time to get used to this
Yep.
system.
Yep. She said she wanted to work. She said, I don't speak English. I need to be there and I need to work on being able to cut my promo. Like she was aware of all those things and said, there's no point going to the main roster if I can't compete at the level I want to. So, she's in NXT and they're lighting it up.
Yeah, and like that's the difference between someone that is super self-aware and knowing what they need to work on and someone that is just thinking that they're the main event just because they have the look and they have the aura and they have some in-ring ability. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you guys and say that Jade Cargill is some bum in the ring. She's not
Right.
Natalia. She's not Lyra Valkyria.
No.
And my bad. My
There are the
bad.
strays.
My bad. Didn't mean to throw some strays at them.
Only this time it
Um,
didn't come from me.
yeah. But like you're talking about like an individual that has the talent to do this. And she's jumped the gun, I feel like.
Yeah.
And will she have a good match with Naomi? I don't know. Maybe. I wouldn't bet the house on it. Like if you're going to Vegas, I wouldn't bet the over on having a good Naomi and Jade Cargill match.
No, I have a feeling it's going to be one of the shortest matches on the card.
Yeah, and like I just wish there was more development and more time taken with such a phenomenal talent.
Yeah.
Like Jade Cargill is the full package. And it is very similar, I feel like, to what they're doing with a like what they did with like a Ultimate Warrior, even.
Yep.
Like, and Warrior got to the main event. Do I think Jade Cargill is going to get to the main event? Absolutely. Is she going to be a world champion? Absolutely. But are her matches going to be stellar? Is she going to be remembered as a positive impact on the women's division and a top five wrestler of all time in the women's division? Like I know she can be. I don't know. I really don't.
I'm glad you bring up the Ultimate Warrior because I feel like that is the direct comparison.
Mhm.
And everybody there is well aware of that. They're not they're not Vince. They're not just, oh God, look at his body, pal. Oh, that is so vascular. It's like they don't get infatuated with that part so much. Everything has to work. You don't have people getting pushed just based off of one thing. We try to have well-rounded superstars, and I think the people who are there right now understand that, and they don't want her to fall into the Ultimate Warrior trap. And it seems like they were willing to give it a go and see how it was going to work with her and Bianca, and see if there was progression. And then they pulled the trigger on the injury angle, and we said it back then when it happened. I was like, oh, that's genius. That's exactly how you do this kind of an angle. We get to have her off of TV so she doesn't have to be in the ring or cutting promos. but her story is still in the forefront and you have other people playing it out. Smart. That's the way to do it. You're just hoping that now when you're going to cash in on that investment, that the time off and hopefully the work that was put in is going to match it. And we're both pulling for Jade Cargill for that to happen because if she can be successful, that just makes that women's division that's stacked even better already because it's already off the charts. Like you said, when we get into
Yeah.
Julia and Stephanie Vacar, perfect
Yeah.
example.
Yeah. I 100% agree with you. Quick side note, guys, you don't know what it's like working your 9 to 5 job, and then all of a sudden you're mid conversation with Brian in passing, and all of a sudden he is mid Vince McMahon impersonation. Like it just gets you dying, guys. Like it is, Brian gives the best impersonations in all of podcasting.
No, I don't
Oh,
know about that. I'll
oh my
take it
gosh.
though.
You do,
Thanks,
dude.
pal. Ha ha ha.
Um, but yes, moving on, like you said, we're talking a big moment in wrestling right here. The first time this has happened in NXT in the women's division, because on the men's side you can go to a Keith Lee, you can go to an Adam Cole. We have our first ever double champ, and it is Stephanie Vaquer. And there is no, before we start this, because it might have a slight, I don't know if it's negative tone to the topic, there's no one more deserving than Stephanie
Sure.
Vaquer. She has been on a roll. And I don't know if there's a better women's wrestler on the planet in the ring. Like, I know she wanted to go to the NXT to work on her promos and her English and some of the in-ring storytelling aspects of wrestling. But like in the ring, there might not be anyone better.
Yeah,
Like
she's really good.
she is that good. And that's why I think there's no one, I mean Julia is the other person that'd be deserving of it because she's just that good too. But obviously, I don't like giving you know who his credit, the guy that rates the matches, but he reported that she might be injured, and that's why they couldn't wait till Stand and Deliver. Do we take anything he says with it?
See, now did Meltzer also say, is he also the source that said that there was a visa issue that she has too? Because I was watching the match. I wanted to watch it real close because I wanted to see how Julia worked. If she
Yeah,
has an injury, I'd love to know what they're saying that injury is. And I get it. People can play hurt and they can play injured, and maybe she was getting through something, but it didn't seem like they were limiting anything in the match because of
yeah,
that. So when I saw the report about maybe a possible visa issue that she's having, I go, that to me makes more sense. That they can't take a chance of we have to pull her for some reason while she gets that
yeah.
figured out, that they had to get the belt off of her. Now, Dave Meltzer might go down the injury thing, but when has Dave Meltzer been right? He's as right as much as we are. So take that with a grain of salt. If Dave Meltzer is saying it, I mean, WWR also said it. And so far, we don't have a great batting average, but if Dave Meltzer is the gold standard, I guess we're there with them because we're just as right
Yeah.
as he is.
Listen, Dave Meltz turd, like
Oh, he went there.
he is just he is reporting out of his you know what most of the time. Like um he was the first one to report that there was an injury to Julia, but now all of a sudden it's a visa issue. Well, which one
Yeah.
is it, Dave? Which one is it? Besides the point, phenomenal match. Um great ending with the confetti coming down.
Yeah.
The only thing we are worried about is the booking of a double champion. I mean, it is tough to book a double champion. Like, let's go to our most recent example of this, and it is Roman Reigns. You had to build a person worthy enough to take that title off of him, and it took you 2 years. Now, is Stephanie Vaquer Roman Reigns? No. not by any means, but there needs to be someone credible to take the belt off of her. And if you go over the history of double champions like you're gonna do, Brian, um, it's hard to build that person up to take the belt off your double champion. And what belt is it gonna be? Because the only person I can think of off the top of my head that can go for one of those two belts is Jordan Grace. Or the other person is a returning Julia.
Right.
Like, when Julia returns, is she going to get her rematch? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, if it's a visa issue, she's not going to be with the company. So it has to be Jordan Grace and Stephanie Vaquer in some way at NXT, stand and deliver. The other way you go about it is it's just one title. And I know you're going to get into your um Vince impersonation of
Oh yeah.
the Hogan and Warrior
Yes.
one title, but like how do you even comprehend to go about this? Because when Roman had both titles, you didn't face him for one title. You faced him for both of them.
Yeah.
And you didn't face him for the Universal Championship or you didn't face him for the WWE Championship. You faced him for both. And eventually you unified the titles and now you have the belt that him and Cody have carried around.
Yep.
You do not do that right now. NXT is the best women's division in the world. Like you
Yeah.
have so many talented people. You don't take away the mid card title and the main event title and make it one because then you're killing so many
And you
opportunities.
just brought that mid card title out. Like it's
Exactly.
not
You
like,
just brought it out.
and this is
Like,
where the problems come in. And with Roman Reigns, it's slightly different because we go, those were the top of the card championships that they unify then. That's
yeah,
much different than holding a mid card title and a main championship. Like those. So with Roman Reigns, you go, look how that all played out, having to do it that way and how convoluted it gets. It's even
mhm,
worse when you have a mid card title or God forbid, two mid card titles. Um, it's hard to separate that. And the problem right off the bat is if you have, so now you have Stephanie Vaccaro, she's the women's champion and she's the women's North American champion. One of those belts is lesser of the two. But
yep,
why would she ever defend that lesser of the two? Because if she does and she loses it, now your champion just lost, but only lost the lesser championship, not
yeah,
the top one. So it gets real confusing. And like you said, whenever they do this title for title, especially when it's a mid card and a top one, you automatically go back to WrestleMania 6. Everybody go back in our videos to our WrestleMania 6 retro rewatch. It's great. We had a lot of fun and we talk
yes,
about it. But when the concept of champion versus champion, title for title came up, it was Vince, and Bruce Pritchard tells the great story of when Vince comes up with it, it's champion versus champion and title for title, and then everybody sitting around the table goes, okay, so if Warrior wins, he's the Intercontinental Champion and the Heavyweight Champion. No, pal, he's just the Heavyweight Champion. Okay, but it's title for title. That's right, title for title. So if Hogan wins, Hogan's the Intercontinental Champion and the Heavyweight Champion. No, pal, you're not listening to me. It's title for title. He's just the Heavyweight Champion. So what do we do with the Intercontinental Championship? We do a tournament, and that's it. It's a gimmick right off the bat. Is that you want to draw people because you have these two champions that are both over, and you want to capitalize on that. But all it does is create problems of how because you either diminish the title or you diminish the person who's carrying it when you do that. You can't have them lose defending a lesser title because it weakens them as a champion. And you can't have them go out and defend the lesser championship and lose because it diminishes that championship then if that's the one that the person
100%.
doesn't care about, so they're willing to lose
Yes.
that one. So in the past, I had to do a little digging to refresh the old noggin because I know that there were some really weird ones in the past, and some of them that stand out. It's really weird because you got to go back to when we had the European Championship in the 2000s. I missed the European Championship. I wish they brought that back. Um, but you had Shawn Michaels, who pretty much I think he wins the heavyweight championship and he's the European champion and he wins the European championship. So he pretty much they do the gimmick with him and Triple H where it's basically, you know, the old Hogan just puts a finger down and the person gets pinned and Shawn basically just gifts it to Triple H. They do a hokey finish or whatever and
Hmm.
that's how you get rid of it. And that way that was because that was shenanigans within D-Generation X. That might be one of the best ways that you can do that situation
Yeah,
is
100%.
because you didn't actually lose it, but you're giving it to a fellow member of your faction because that's cachet. Then you get into in WrestleMania 2000, you have Kurt Angle. He was the IC champion and the European champion. So get this, Will. I don't know if you're familiar with this match. Are you familiar with this one?
No,
Okay.
I'm not. Put me on game.
So you have Kurt Angle. He's the Intercontinental champion and he's the European champion. Again, problem because he has two mid card belts. So what they came up with is they would have a triple threat between him, Chris Benoit, and Chris Jericho. So the first fall, whoever wins the first fall wins the European Championship, which was Chris Benoit wins the European Championship. Now the match continues, and whoever wins the next fall wins the IC Championship, which was I'm sorry, Chris Benoit wins the Intercontinental Championship. Then the next fall is for the European Championship, with which Chris Jericho wins. So again, they had to really come up with a crazy idea to make it work that Kurt Angle loses both of those championships without him not going over and somehow coming out of that thing worse because now he got beat for both titles. They had to come up with a way to make it work. And it worked, like the match worked just fine, and they got across what they wanted to do, splitting those belts up. Um, but it's always a tricky proposition when you put dual championships on somebody because now you have the problem of getting those dual championships off of them, and it's always a problem. And I'm hoping um, that with this situation, with Stephanie Vicar and Julia, that maybe what you're saying, if Julia does come back, if they get things sorted out, if it's not an injury, we just can't take a chance with this. So we got to get the belt off of her. If they do have her come back, maybe you can kind of untie this knot with those two in another match, and separate those belts again. And then you kind of go, they each got a victory, they each have a loss. So
Hmm.
if Julia comes back and she wins and gets her championship back, and now Stephanie Vicar still has the North American Championship, it was basically just a pause. And that actually seems super logical now that we're talking it out loud because
Yeah.
both of them get to say they each beat each other once for the championship. So like that kind of makes sense because both of them come out even at the end of the day. So I guess we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. If Julia is indeed fine and it's just some sort of a visa issue that needs to get sorted out and then she'll be back, and or if she never leaves, now if she never leaves television and she's there, then who the heck knows what's going on? Then I'd have serious questions. But I think you might have been onto something where if you say we don't break those championships up till Julia comes back, that makes a lot of sense. I'm digging that actually.
Yeah, I think it would make a lot of sense that, Julia comes back and she gets back her NXT championship. Because outside of her and Jordan Grace, I don't think they built anyone up to kind of take that title off of her, as we both think Roxanne Perez is um
Main
bound
roster.
for
Yeah.
bound for the main roster
Yeah.
as she deserves. It's her time to go up now.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is one of those situations only time can tell. You're making me really want to watch that triple threat match because
Yeah, you
you
should. It's super interesting. Yeah, you should.
yeah, you know me, I love a triple threat match. So now
Oh, yeah.
my brain
Yeah.
my brain is just moving. How can we get a triple threat match to split up those titles at Stand and Deliver?
I'm not positive either on the match. I can't remember if Angle gets pinned for either one of those. See, that's
Oh,
why it kind of worked because you don't have to have him take the loss in order
yeah,
to not lose. It's
100%.
not like he had to be pinned to lose the championship. It's whoever wins that first fall and then wins the second fall. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
literally, he may have lost both of those championships without ever losing a pinfall, which
yeah,
again saves it because everybody comes out looking okay.
yeah. It's just if you were to go with that idea, are you willing for Stephanie to come out of Stand and Deliver without a belt? And for
Yeah.
me, that's a no. You're
Ooh,
not.
we differ.
You're not willing to have Stephanie Vaquer come out of Stand and Deliver without a belt because she is probably, now that Julia's gone, your top talent. And unless you're ready for her to move up, like, if you look at the men's side of the division, I think Obafemi is the top talent. But Trick Williams is probably your number
Mm-hmm.
two, and he doesn't have a title, nor do I think he is going to be there much longer. So like he's main roster bound, so you don't have him with a title out of Stand and Deliver. Um I know you say you differ with that. Are you okay with Stephanie not having a title coming out of Stand and Deliver?
No, I totally changed my mind already since you said that. I swear I did. I'm totally now on the side of no, you're probably right. She really shouldn't lose there. She should go over and be a strong women's champion. Maybe
Yeah.
what we do for the North American Championship is literally do have to do what you did with Warriors IC Championship. Do a tournament from here until Stand and Deliver, and then you get to have the finals of that at Stand and Deliver for the North American Championship. I mean, I guess
Yeah,
that's the easy
great
way to
idea.
do it. It helps with booking from now until then, and you can do
Yeah.
that. Unless Julia is going to be back by the end of next month for
Yeah, who
Stand and
knows?
Deliver, then you kind of do have to do something because you're not going to have that championship not defended at
Oh,
Stand and Deliver. So
yeah.
something has to happen with it. But that
Yeah,
again, but this is the problem with dual championships holding two. I mean,
yes.
that's kind of the point.
It has the people that are booking your product sitting here for
Yeah.
15 minutes, like me and Brian have been wondering, what are you doing with this?
Hey,
And
Dave Meltzer's not here. You said the people booking the product. I don't see Dave anywhere. He's not on this podcast.
no, no, and that's a good thing that he's not on this podcast.
Yeah.
My bad. I'm throwing one through my right? He's over at Dave. Like like he's even good to see this. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's an interesting situation they put themselves in. If and I said this to you, if they are booking a situation where Julia has to lose the title, I mean, it wouldn't be wild just to put it on Jordan Grace
Right.
or even a Roxanne Perez who can hold it till Stand and Deliver and then lose to Jordan Grace like she did in their roadblock match.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's just very confusing, but I think it's because they view Stephanie and Julia above even a Jordan Grace
Yeah, they do.
or a Roxanne Perez. Maybe not Roxanne. They love Roxanne Perez.
Yeah.
But
Clearly.
yeah, I don't know. It's
You know
definitely
what though? She's earned it though because she's looked good.
oh yeah.
She's getting a big push, and kudos to Roxanne Perez because she's actually been really good.
Hmm. She has been. She has been extremely good. in every match she's been in recently. The Jordan Grace match, Elimination Chamber, and obviously she showed out at the Royal Rumble. They put her in that situation with Charlotte Flair
Yeah.
to look good at the end of that match, and her winning the Iron Woman. I know me and you talked before the Chamber, and we were like, Roxanne has to have a good match,
Mm-hmm.
like to really solidify herself, and then she did.
Yeah.
Um, I wonder if that match between her and Bailey's going to WrestleMania. That's one of those things only time can tell. I hope it does. It gives them both a match, and both of them deserve a spot at WrestleMania. But Roxanne has kind of just been this weird tweener,
Mm-hmm.
um, in between NXT and the main roster.
Yeah. I mean, she's gotten a push, but it's been in big spots. Like you put her out there, like you said, for the Royal Rumble, she's going to be out there from number 3 or whatever she was,
Yeah.
and so they have faith in her that way that she can do the work. Same thing with the Elimination Chamber. She goes in there as kind of a little wild card that you're not thinking could have been in there, and she had a great match. Um, I just think she's so bound for the main roster that you can't put her, well, you could because they're not opposed to doing that, but it seems like, especially with Jordan Grace, like you were saying, I think a great kind of crowning achievement for her is you want to do it on a big stage. So have that be at Stand and Deliver. Have her win the North American Championship there. Like do the tournament. You have a deep women's division that you
Hmm.
could throw into that tournament. Uh, that way, everybody's getting something to do. You can tell a lot of stories that way, and then have the big blow off finals at Stand and Deliver. I think that would be awesome, and that'd be a great place for Jordan Grace to win because it's on a big stage, it's a big pay
100%
per
agree.
view, and she gets gold there. I think that would be kind of a good way to do that, and everybody kind of saves face. But you have to do the stupid gimmick to get one championship off of your dual champion, which
Yeah.
I know it. I think we have to learn that that is something that they're going to keep doing, and we have to go with the contrivances that come after. It just seems like the least offensive way to do it is to just have a tournament. We know the North American Championship is the quote unquote mid card title for them, so put a championship up for that, and let's see who comes out on top. Jordan Grace, and then you can you can put everybody's name in a hat, and I bet you anybody you plucked out from the NXT roster it's gonna be a good match.
Yeah.
It'll be a fun tournament seeing it to the end if that's what they do.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. It is definitely going to be a interesting road to see what they do from now up until Stand and Deliver, which, Brian, to tell our fans, you are pretty confident that you're going to be on the floor at the arena at Stand and Deliver. Is that a possibility?
That is a possibility. Actually, at this point, it is. We were just looking last night, checking out what seats were available, and there was still some pretty good floor seats available for a really reasonable price. Um, so one way or another, we will be at Stand and Deliver. It's just going to be a matter of where we'll be sitting, and
Yes, sir.
Mania is not out of the question. If we can get ourselves into Mania somehow, we're going to be there. Um, we'll be in our beloved Vegas. So it's going to be so much fun, Will. I will be
Oh
keeping
man,
you updated as the weekend goes on. Oh, it's going to be so much fun.
man, I wish I could be there, man. It sounds like a blast. Um, so that's something to stay tuned for. I mean, Brian is literally going to be on the scene in Vegas for
Boots
Stand
on the
and Deliver.
ground. Yep.
Yes, boots on the ground for Stand and Deliver, WrestleMania, and just interacting with all of you wrestling
Right.
fans out there. Um, hopefully we'll be able to, get a few people to come over, look at the channel. But is there any other notes you got for everyone, Brian?
I have a weird note that says
Okay.
Triple Threat of Palooza, and I can't remember what we were talking about for that, but it was on something because it was on our Google Doc of
Oh
triple
my gosh.
threats, and I put in Triple Threat of Palooza because I'm like, it's going to be Will in a bunch of triple threat matches, so I'll just throw the Palooza on the end.
Well, let me touch on that real quick because I can, you know me, I can talk about a triple threat match.
Yep.
Um, we're getting a triple threat between CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins. Monday Night Raw confirmed that, and um, I did say that Roman was gonna come back. It was just gonna everyone knew that. It's what he was gonna do. He takes out Seth, he takes out CM Punk. Dude, lock it in. We got our first triple threat match.
Mm,
And then also on Monday Night Raw, you have Rhea and Bianca chatting stuff at each other, back and forth. Io Sky needs to let him know
yes.
who's the champ. And that was awesome. The shout out the MSG crowd. That's so awesome that like they popped for Io like that when she slapped the both of them. It made Io feel legit when she's the underdog as the champion.
Yeah.
Go in to what's another triple threat at WrestleMania. We are in the triple threat era in wrestling right now. And you can lock those two in. Guess what? You probably have another multi-man match. You have the Street Profits becoming tag champions on SmackDown. DIY wants their rematch. You got number one contenders in Pretty Deadly.
Pretty
So,
deadly.
yep, you have Motor City Machine Guns, who's also gonna want their match. Because they are rightful champions of themselves, you know. Johnny Gargano cheated to become champion.
Yep.
Oh, you have another multi-man match there. And guess what? You could probably work something with LA Knight, Big Jim, Shinsuke Nakamura wanting his rematch. Solo Sikoa's out there somewhere. WrestleMania is looking like the multi-man type of night, which
Yeah.
for me is exciting because I just think that style of match is so much better than a normal match. Like the high pace is just something I really enjoy. Um, that's really all I got for it because I just think that's where multiple of these different championship storylines and even without the championship in the CM Punk Roman Reigns Seth Rollins storyline, I think that could definitely lead into something going into night two of WrestleMania, which you definitely
Yeah.
think there's a possibility of. I do as well. I think the favor could be that out of that triple threat match, no matter who wins, they get inserted into that WrestleMania main event of night two.
Yeah. It seems like I don't get as excited about the triple threats as you do.
No,
The
no.
biggest part of me wants to say that this is just Triple H and creative giving us red herrings. Like, this could be a triple threat. Oh, yeah. Io and Rhea and Bianca, that could be a triple threat match. I think they're purposely messing with us so that we're constantly on our toes of what's going to
Yeah.
happen. That's just too many triple threat matches. It's too many. And somebody would stand up in that room and go, okay, guys, I get it. We
Yeah.
can do this triple threat match, but what can we do? It might be harder, but let's not take the easy way out. I feel like there's something more in that. We're gonna get one for sure. There will
Yeah.
be one important triple match, or there will be one triple threat important match at
Yeah.
WrestleMania for sure. I think right now it's just going to be picking which one it is that they've been showing us, and I don't know. The favor has to come in. Like there's so many things that have to play out still to get us to the end game, and it's fun. It's exciting. We've said it before that it's fun that we get to come on here and we get to throw all these ideas out and say, what if they did this or they could do that? And that's because that's what makes wrestling fun, everybody, is that you're supposed to be able to, get with your friends, talk around the water cooler. Again, dating myself because I don't think anybody says that anymore. but like it's supposed to be talking about it. It's a soap opera, everybody. It's storylines being played out with uh finishing the conflict in a match. Like we're supposed to be talking about what's going to happen. If it's always predictable, that's not nearly as fun. So right now, wrestling is so fun right now because at every level they have interesting stories going on that it's entertaining. Even if it's the smallest stories like Ivy Nile really wanting to win a championship to make sure Chad Gable, who went out to learn how to beat the luchadors. By the way, I'm in love with that. That is the
I'm in
kind of
love with that.
silliness. Will,
Yes.
tell me you didn't think that that's something that would have happened in WrestleMania 6.
Oh my gosh. What a
So good when he's in
WrestleMania
the back.
6.
Yes.
Yeah. What a WrestleMania 6 segment where Chad
Yep.
Gable getting interviewed by Kathy Kelly. And she's like, hey, it was you, man. We
Yep.
all know it was you. And he was like, it's not me. Look at this dude over here. And it's someone in the exact same fit getting booted off by security. Perfect, man. I love wrestling, man. I just love
It
it.
if it was back in 1990, like circa WrestleMania 6, you would have had Gorilla Monsoon do the, well, Jess, we know who that is. That's Chad Gable. Look at him. Come on, Jesse. You can't tell that that's him. And then later on, when they go to the back and somebody else is being carted away or taken away by security, that's when Jesse will pipe up. No, Gorilla, you could see that's not him right there. They got the person. You can't be in two places at once, Gorilla. Jesse would be all over it. Like, I miss that stuff. So I'm so
Oh
glad that they're
my gosh.
bringing a little bit of that
Yeah.
silliness and zaniness back. But even those stories, like I said, with Ivy Nile, even those, when that story starts playing out, it's entertaining and it's enjoyable. They're doing a great job. Everybody from top to bottom right now is doing a really good job.
That's why we love wrestling, Brian.
Yep,
Right there. I
100%.
think just from the simple stuff, like you said, Ivy Nile, all the way up to Cena and Cody, like, and everything in between. It's just been really great. And this build to WrestleMania has been really great. And the build to Stand and Deliver. I know we talked about kind of everything in between today. So,
Yeah.
I just think we are definitely on a pretty great road to WrestleMania once again. So I know we gave Triple H a lot of credit earlier in the podcast for what he's doing with the booking. Um just more credit to him. He's doing a great
Yep.
job.
I agree.
Do you have anything else for him, Brian?
No, I think we're tapped out for this.
If you came from the Realm Paranormal podcast, shout out to all my people over there. If you haven't, go check it out. Link will be down below. Um, Guys, I was really excited. I got done with my first episode of the list. That will be posted soon. I
So
thought I was
good.
hot stuff. I'm not. It took me a minute to figure out, but we got there.
It's going to
So
be good.
definitely go check that out on TikTok. And Brian, you can send us off, man.
So the next episode of Wrestling the Realm podcast, I'm Brian. He's Will. We'll catch you guys later. Peace.
Love you guys. Peace. Yeah, I got the Pokemon cards, guys. Like, look it. I got Bulbasaur. I don't even know
It's
what a
Logan Paul.
Hydraptal is. I don't know what a Hydraptal is, but I'm Logan Paul with the Pokemon cards, guys. Like, it was. Hold on, I'll show everyone what I got. Y'all can hit me up. I got an eBay account if you guys want any. Look. I
got
got.
the garbage pail kids that I can throw up.
Okay, okay, we can get a Wrestling with the Realm eBay going.
That's
Yeah,
funny.
we got Wrestling with the Realm eBay. Okay.